Now, the reason why you haven't gone free already is the fear of dying. You put all these programs in for survival, and you do feel, if I let go of these programs, I'll be dead. The truth is the exact opposite. As long as you're encased in a physical straitjacket, you could not be deader. But this you discover when you get out of the straitjacket. You might choose to move into a subtle body, the astral body, which is made up of substance, but much finer than anything in our physical world, and which will travel by mere thought, which doesn't have to be fed, which is something like the bodies you see in cartoons. You know, they squash them down flat and they bounce right back. Because in your astral body, you're in the realm of thought only, not thought making physical as much as just thought only. And whatever you think is immediately. And if you choose to work with the rest of people, that's the avenue that most of the great ones have taken. They leave the physical, they move off into the astral realm, and they help and guide us from the astral realm because there's no limitation there. Jesus, who dedicated himself to everyone, could right now talk to everyone if everyone wanted him to talk to them and could accept it. But in the physical body, he's extremely limited. On the other side, the limitations are gone. So the majority of those who go free work from the other side. And it's a team. It's an organization without any organization. And there's no highs, lows. They're all together. They've dedicated themselves to helping and guiding the evolution of this planet. I'm telling you this for one reason, being that in the near future, life is going to become more and more difficult. We subconsciously knock out all our props, smartly so we have to rely upon ourselves. When your jobs are gone, your supermarkets are gone, the air can't be, I don't want to go too far down that way, but things are going to happen where you'll put yourself in a position where you'll survive just by knowing I am. That everything out there is an out-picturing of my mind. And if I don't like the picture, I can change it just like that. Now, what happens if somebody pictures catastrophe and I picture harmony? And we're standing side by side. And that one who's picturing catastrophe pulls in a hydrogen bomb explosion nearby. What would happen?
You'd watch them disintegrate.
No, it wouldn't touch me if I'm in harmony. I don't even see it. It's not there for me. I used to think in New York City that every time I went down a West Side Highway at high speed and there's a whole traffic jam up ahead, that they opened up. And I went through. And I was convinced somehow they always opened up a way for me. It was only a week or two ago, I was talking to Virginia about it. I said, oh my gosh, that doesn't happen. How could a half a mile long of traffic suddenly open up? It's only a 2 or some places 3-lane highway, the West Side Highway. I said, what happened there? And I began remembering. Sure enough, they opened up and I went through. But that was my picture. Their picture was all jammed, so I must have gone right through them. That was my picture. So if someone's alongside me pulling in a hydrogen bomb, and I don't see it, there is no hydrogen bomb. It can't touch me. It's not my picture. I hope you're beginning to see that there's nothing out there but your picture.
I think that we don't all live in the same reality, that we each, like the study that we're sharing the experience of reality.
We think. We think we're seeing the same thing. I always bring out an accident. 5 people watching it intently come out with 5 different reports. And each one would swear by the Bible. They saw it. Right. Yet there's certain agreements you pick. You and Howard get together and picture having children in common. And when you look at the children, you think he sees the same thing, but he doesn't. He sees what he sees, you see what you see. You see your picture. But there are certain agreements to varying degrees. And we have picked certain agreements, like if we raise the temperature of the physical body 10 degrees, it dies. What a dumb agreement. We'll drink coffee or tea more than 10 degrees hotter than we are. It doesn't kill us. But if the temperature of the body goes up 10 degrees, we die. It's just a program. This is how far we've gone in our stupidity. We need oxygen. We, eternal beings, need oxygen in order to survive. Only if that's your program. By releasing approval, control, security, you let go of those programs of needing oxygen, needing food. It was never meant that we take other life and rot it inside of ourselves to stay alive. And this gorgeous thing we have that we spend almost our total time in keeping up is a garbage-producing machine. Take your attention away from the body. Give it its just due. Stay away from these programs of vitamin A, then you get B, then C, then D, then X, Y, Z, then I'll have A, B, B in time. Can't you see it's always changing your diet? They're always changing. They don't know. The problem is food. Don't eat. Take your energy directly. You're doing it anyway, but unconsciously thinking you're getting it from the food. But there's only one energy. It's cosmic energy. Whether you call it food or gasoline. Think in the directions of getting it directly until you experience it. And then you can cut out food. air and never die. Now, releasing these programs is simply undoing ego programs. Ego is the sum total of our programs. And there's an expression, when the ego is zero, God is all. When there is no more ego, we identify with our beingness only. What the world calls God is the infinite beingness of the universe. If we have beingness, we're part of that. When you identify with it, you discover you're the totality of it. Now, wrongly thinking you're one infinitesimal part of it. You're like an ocean, imagining a circle around you, calling yourself a drop and saying, I'm a drop, I'm not the ocean. But when you take that bondage of that circle and get rid of it, you discover you're the ocean. And this is what happens when you rid yourself of all your programs. You're as free right now as you are imperturbable. If you want to check yourself, look out there and see how much you are disturbed by things, especially family, close ones. And after that, money. See how much you're bothered by these things, and you can begin to get an idea of where you're at. Every one of you are far less disturbable now than you were before you started the course. You must continue it until there's no disturbance whatsoever. Now, it's hard to judge one who is free because he play acts in the world. And some of the free ones, especially in India, they go around like madmen, crazy. Purposely so, to keep the dead ones off their back. Because anyone involved in the world, what do you mean it isn't a miserable world? And you can't even see it. And they're trying to throw pictures at you that are non-existent. They're trying to make you come down into misery, which you don't want to and won't. And so you need to step aside, step back. That's why most of them go into caves or disappear or act like madmen, except for a very small. The figure is maybe a few percent of them will come back here and work with us to try to awaken us to the fact that we have no limitation also. Now that we're getting more apparatus, I've always had the hope from the first day of the course to get an electronic machine that tells you, I am totally bound, I am totally free. Could be done. Your disturbance, your inner disturbance can be measured. Because it's automatic. But if we had a scale from 0 to infinity, it would all be done right at the bottom there. So we would set up a scale from 0 to partway to infinity. And it could be measured in figures. Maybe someday we'll have it. there should be a way for you to judge you as to where you are on the scale of freedom. And the best thing is imperturbability. How much can I be disturbed in the most stressful situation? Now, if you use that same situation and keep measuring yourself against it, you'll see your growth. If you want a good one, dying is a good one. Mm-hmm. You can see yourself, falling off a cliff, walking in front of a moving truck. Hold on to it. Well, that's too strong for you, maybe. But get some situation that you're comfortable with, and keep using that again and again to measure how much disturbance you have let go of. So the ego sense drops away, and that's kind of obvious. When you let go of your ego, you never think of yourself anymore. You can imagine that. Mm-hmm. You first begin thinking of others. And then, when you so decide when you want to move out from the others, you don't even think. The free state is an intuitive state. And you can talk 24 hours a day in that state without having a single thought. It's talking from your gut. It just flows without any premeditated thinking. I know some of you have experienced this to a degree, especially if you're creative. It'll just flow out without any thinking. And it is the best of whatever it is you're doing when that happens. So ego, he must go. And when he's gone, the only thing left is beingness. When we come out from the top, we set up an idea of a body that looks like this physical one. But it's made of such fine substance, it's hard to imagine how fine that substance is. And everything's an idea up in this state. The moment you have an idea, that moment it's fulfilled. And that state is, they call it the causal. We dwell for eons in the causal astral state, and we dwell for millions of years in the physical. Now, as we come down, we go into the astral state, which again is much finer than the physical. But there's action, cause, and effect, and so forth, but it's almost instant. To go and do and visit and so forth is not as fast as it is up here. Up here, the moment you have an idea, it's fulfilled. It's a realm of ideas. I guess I should tell you, every one of us is in the three states right now. You see, this top state you can't lose. You just densify it. You make it more dense and then more dense. And when you get down here, you get so dense you don't see your astral and causal bodies. And you think you're in that body. you've lost sight of the fact that you created the body and that the body's in you. And again, some of you have had experiences where you've seen the body out there. Someday the body is out there all the time. You just projected the picture out there. And if you don't like it, you can change it instantly. Most people who can do that keep the body about the age of 16, 18, indefinitely. They don't get any older looking than that. I can see this would sell better than oil.
Why so young? Why so young?
It's a more perfect state than an old state. That's all. Everything works better, looks better, feels better. Right? In a teenage body.
Feels a long time ago.
Yeah, remember. Well, more basically, we don't want to die. Right? If we stay 18, we can't die. You got to get to be 80 to die or more. So the concept of youthfulness has the implication of not dying. Can you see that?
So my astral body's 18.
So that's still a limitation in the astral plane then, isn't it? And it's the fear of death.
As long as there's a body, there's limitation. Can you see that? As long as there's a body, it's a confinement. When you identify with your beingness, you're omnipresent. When you identify with any body, you're at that spot only. I'm trying to take knowledge up here and bring it down to where it's understandable to you so that you can use it to get out of here and go up there. Am I communicating with everyone? Is there anyone who's not getting these concepts?
I think you should know that answer. Yes, right.
I want you to know it. Though. If I had the answer, I wouldn't present it.
I mean, you asked it.
I want you to know it.
Okay.
What I know helps you none.
No, I mean, you would know if we're getting it or not, but you're asking it for another reason.
Yeah.
To see if we know it. Right.
It's helpful to you if you know it.
Right.
It's not helpful to you if I know it.
No, but I'm saying that you know if we know it or not, but you're asking that question to see if we know it. We know it.
No, not if you know it. For you to look at it and know it, get to know it. It's not a question what I know or what you know that I'm here for. I'm here to get you to know it. So if I ask you, do you know it? You've got to go in that direction and say, do I know that? Talking about knowing, I keep repeating the thing that helped me so much was I only know that which I can do. Not think, but do. I only know that which I can do. How infinite am I? I would keep posing that question. It kept prodding me by showing me how far down the line I was. Until finally, all the powers in the universe drop into your lap. All your confinements are gone. And you can prove them to yourself if you don't want to prove it to someone else. It's sometimes very disturbing to others when they see someone with unusual powers, which everyone has in the first place. And so you don't necessarily show it. But because I was trained as a physicist and you had to prove things out, I had witnesses to everything that I did before I accepted it, as a good physicist would. You think you're in this physical body. The reason why you're blunging, you're holding on to the lifeline, by your fingertips, about to die any moment, is the way we go through physical life. That's why I drew it that way. But we operate the physical body with the astral body. Our minds are in our astral bodies. We contact the physical body, the lower part of the neck, the medulla oblongata. And through here, we operate the body through the brain, which is only the switchboard that connects up all the parts. There is no thinking going on in the brain. So when you read these theories of left brain, right brain, that's all put out by lame brain. And everything they're doing with the brain is in a physical realm, which the mind is not in. And so they cannot understand man's behavior. But knowing that the brain is in the astral body can be used to your advantage. If you get involved with spirits, entities on the other side, and many people do, I don't know why, probably a carryover, you never ever have to fear an evil spirit. Because these characters on the other side, in the astral, what to them is their real brain, what to them is their real reality, is their mind. Everything is mental there. And whatever we do mentally, to them is real. So if you got some evil spirit trying to beat up on you or do something to you, you just mentally hold what you want, and this one's wafted away. You never have to fear the other side, the astral. They can take an astral stick and beat on your head and beat on your head, and it goes right through your body and you don't even know it, unless you're psychic. If you're psychic, it might hurt you. So if someone's got some evil potion or some evil sentence and so forth, you just smile at it and you just know they cannot touch you, and they cannot. As you move up, start going back home, the characters on the left side are jealous of your state. You see, we're ahead of at least one half of the people in the universe. More than one half, because we're coming up off the bottom. And more than half are on the way toward it. But these people are what are called the jealous gods. They have powers, just like someone moving up here has powers, and they're equal in powers. They can mentally manipulate the physical matter, things like that. But when you start moving up, the ones behind you, because of jealousy, try to slow you down. They'll tempt you. Oh, you're above all that nonsense. You can do it now. You can play with that fire down there. It won't burn you. And I've watched so many people succumb to these characters because they're playing around with the astral, with the psychic. And they're trying to develop a power here, a power there. The number one program on the chart is separateness. The very first program we put in is wanting to be separate from the one, from the oneness. The oneness is our beingness. It's omnipresent. Right now, your beingness is everywhere present. We start cutting ourselves off from it by saying, I'm going to be separate from it, and we put a circle around ourselves to encase our beingness into a thing called mind-body. Our beingness sets up a mind which imagines it's a body. So everything you do, and will keep on doing until you reach freedom, is to undo that feeling of separateness. On the chain of separateness comes mind, body, and everything to do with the body. Other bodies, mama, papa, children, husband, wife. It gets more and more involved as you move out from the top state of oneness of beingness. But this beingness that you are is always there. There's nothing more intimate than this infinite beingness that you are. When you say I, that's it. When you add on to it, that isn't it. That's what you need to let go of. You just say I, from here on, you'll be there. But the moment you add something onto it, I am this body, or I am this mind, or I and, that's not it. You're separating, you're imaging in your mind more than the oneness. And the more you image, the further away you are from that top state of just being. Because you're being the body, you're being the mind, you're being the husband, you're being the wife, you're being the child, you're being the friend. Then in being the body, you're being involved in everything to survive, keep that body surviving. But there's one thing you can't let go of. That's the word being. That's the part of you that has no limitation. That's the part of you that you're looking for in every last act you do. You're unhappy because you're not just being. Unhappiness is just moving away from beingness. So the more you try to be a body, the greater your unhappiness. There is no misery in life when we let go of identifying with the body and just to identify with our beingness. Are you? Sure you are. That's it. Period. Nothing else. That's it. You see the KISS theory? It's so simple. How do you get rid of all the obstaculations? Ag flap, that's all it is. These programs put into the banks of the mind keep operating until we release them. You get these programs out of the mind goes quiet, and your beingness is so loud you cannot help but be self-obvious to yourself as to what you are. Truth, reality, is that which never changes. And there's only one thing that never changes. The reality, the truth, our beingness. So we start from our beingness. We create a mind. The mind reflects all the parts. The mind creates all matter. And when you get involved in matter, everything matters. And you're just plagued by a bunch of nonsense. So we need to start going back up the chart, ridding ourselves of all these unconscious, deep programs, ag flap and so forth. I'm back at the point that I started with when I first spoke to you. Identify where you are, where you're going, what it is that needs to be done to get there. Does an infinite being have to work for a living? Do the free ones have jobs? Let go of the importance of work. Of course, you've got to do that which you have to do. Otherwise, your program says, I will die. You need this carcass to plague you until you get back up to the top. The only purpose for being in this world is to discover our freedom. The only purpose to come here is to get rid of all the limitations. And where are the limitations? In the mind. I'm afraid I can't. I'm guilty. I don't deserve it. I'm angry. I'm apathy. The whole purpose of being here is to rid ourselves of all these mentations that are deeply programmed and are the accumulation of many, many millions of years, millions of lifetimes. And yet, when you release at the bottom line, you can go free in a matter of months. Getting it constant gets you there. The momentum like you're into now. You're able to release. As you release, you get high. From the high place, you can reach down deep and pull up the fear of dying. When you're free of that fear of dying, there'll be a much stronger agony, the feeling of separation. But because you've released so much, when you've let go of the fear of dying, you can handle it. And you throw out the feeling of separation. And you're there with a capital T. Now you must take responsibility to rid yourself of that which you have accumulated over the millions of years. If you don't take responsibility, you have programmed in those things and you're saying, I've got no responsibility, I have nothing to do with it, so it remains. It's so important for you to take responsibility. And when something bad happens, say, gee, look what I did. Cause a smash up. It takes an ability to do that. But if you take credit for the things you create that you don't like, it keeps you in the driver's seat. It keeps you in control. And as we know, control is not a bad word, not a bad thing. The want of it is. When we're free, we're in total control of the universe by mere effortless thought. When you're free, your mind is quiet. There are no thoughts there. So any thought you put in the mind is so concentrated, it happens like that. Your mind is plagued with probably tens of thousands of thoughts right now, all tied into the ag flap. So when your mind goes quiet, it's concentrated, and any mere thought happens immediately. It's such an effortless thought. That word effort is a good word to judge yourself by, check yourself by. To the degree you have no effort in life, to that degree you are free. You don't realize how ridiculous you look scratching for a living.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a... Well, I won't say, but you must get to the place where you master the world. Because if you're not winning, if you're not a winner, you have anti-programs. I can't be a winner. You must become a winner. You must achieve your goals so that you can bring up the anti-winning, the anti-goals, and rid yourself of them. The aversions to the world are stronger and far more subtle than the attachments. So when you go to be a winner, when you go for goals, up come your aversions. And you need to become a winner just to get the garbage up and out.
What did you say that your aversions were stronger?
Your aversions are stronger and more subtle than your attachments. Your attachments are obvious. I want this, and I want that, and I want money, and I want beauty. And those are obvious. But the things you don't want you don't look at. And that develops resistance, suppression, and resistance. So goals are very important on your way to becoming a winner. I hate to bother someone in Bliss over there, Mr. Aronin. Do you still run your goal charts?
No.
Are you in as good a position as you used to be when you're running them? What you're doing is you let up on releasing the blocks to being a winner. You've got to be a total winner in life. Think and have it happen. If I remember right, you wrote a goal for an important part in a Broadway show. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I saw you in a terrific part, really fighting your way through. What was the name of it? Knockout. And you were a knockout in it. I think during that time, didn't you write a goal to get an important part in a Hollywood movie? Didn't you get a part in Cruising? And during that time, didn't you write another goal, 6 figures, to make 6 figures?
Yeah.
And you got it?
Yep.
And then your goal was to buy everything I wanted, sports car, home, Hamptons, da-da-da-da-da-da, and you got it. Then what happened? I didn't need any goal charts. I got a cigar in my mouth. I'm a big shot. I'm not picking on you.
No.
That was the time when you could have really made a big forward spurt. And I invited you, why don't you join us? You didn't want to. You were above the Sedona graduates at that time, remember? It was pride. But the important thing, you stopped making goals.
Stop staying focused. General. And the other thing that I did was that when I stopped working, was I forgot how I did what it was that I did. And I put limitations on what I wanted, rather than accepting it from wherever it came. And I just kind of, I put limitations on it, rather than left it open.
The words, I stopped. That's all. You stop. You take the 6 steps. There's no stopping in the 6 steps. He said to me, oh, Lester, I got it. I'm just releasing constantly. And he was giddy as could be. Remember? You were into step 6. Nothing knocked you down. If it hit you, you just kept moving up. Had you stayed right there, you would have been totally free. In a month or so after you spoke to me that time. But you stopped. You wanted things of the world at that moment. You forgot it was your inner happiness that was so great, not the things of the world. Because when you got 1, the Broadway show, that wasn't good enough. You got 2, the movie, that wasn't good enough. You got 3, 6 figures, that wasn't good enough. It's all right, keep on winning, but get to the place where you can think and have things happen. Try to transcend having to work for a living. That's for slaves. That's not for free people. I'm sure most of you have created things for the mere thoughts of them. Now, if you can do it for one thing, do it for everything. There comes in a yes, but. And that yes, but is a remaining ag flat. So use your goal charts. Get rid of the ag flap. And move into the state of just being your beingness. You move around. You might have a silly smile on your face, but you can learn how to wipe that off. You won't disappear. The only thing that changes is, I am me. That body is a creation of my mind. The mind is something I set up. I am whole, complete, eternal in my beingness. And the body becomes of little importance. Once you recognize you created it mentally, and that you have used it to help sink yourself down into limitations of the body. I guess what I'm saying is, don't get frightened over going free. All your programs were put in as pro-survival. Every bit of them is anti-survival. Feed that to that mind of yours. Every bit of every program which was put in as pro-survival is anti-survival. This ought to help you let go of the fear, I will die if I go free. You're there right now. But what stopped you is what I was talking about. Fear of losing what you have now. You never lose. You never give up anything as you get freer. You'll take on more and more and more. Correction, you lose your miserable toys, your miseries. But when you go free, you'll walk around in a body. You'll eat, you'll talk, and you don't have to die. You can keep the body going indefinitely. So let go of the fears. If I go free, I will die. I think this is probably the number one holdback for all of us. I will die if I go free. These feelings are going to keep me surviving. They are my protection. I'll get angry and I'll swing at them. Or I'll get courageous and wipe them out. Look into your feelings. Examine them. Identify exactly what they are. They are pro-survival, but actually, in effect, anti-survival. We all have that feeling, I will die if I go free. All you die to is the miseries. You take the great ones. Did Buddha disappear when he got free? I think he went back to being prince or king, did he not? Did Jesus die? Yeah, but he used it to prove immortality. He came back in 3 days. And he's still around. So is Buddha. Yogananda was a free one. Look what he did. Came over from India and set up a huge organization. Ran it all by himself. And when he left in 52, I met his disciples, I think it was 54. They were still totally bewildered, not knowing what to do, because Yogananda did everything in the organization. they were paralyzed for several years because he was doing everything. Now, he was a free one. Look what he did. Got 3 gorgeous properties. Set them up. Got tens of thousands of followers. An interesting story on his body. I met his disciples, 2 different ones told me about it. He had 6 feet. He couldn't stand on them, they hurt. And one day he had to give a talk at their headquarters out in the open. Probably 1,000 or a few thousand people there. They carried him into the car. He couldn't walk. When he got there, the people were there. And when they got ready to carry him out, he said, "Oh no, not in front of people." He got out of the car on his own, and he walked up to the platform. Marina Lini is the name of the sister who told me about it. She said, she looked at him, and she noticed his feet were not touching the ground because they hurt. He levitated up to the platform. No one knew it, except she and the disciples around him who had to carry him into the car. Now, I tell you that to not try to judge a free one by what he's doing. You pick on, well, someone said I took some vitamins. Well, wonderful. What's wrong with vitamins? I sleep. I eat. So what? The question is, do I have to? And the only reason why the great ones live like we do is because we can't comprehend them if they don't. They come down into our limitations so they can communicate with us. But like Yogananda, he had 6 feet and he had to walk. He didn't want to show it to the public, so he levitated. But I think the real reason why most of the masters are quite sick at times. Vivekananda, all his life, had a terrible body, excruciating pains. They do it as a reminder to them that they are not that body. Because they don't suffer the body, no matter how much it hurts. They'll laugh, the body's hurting. It doesn't bother them. They don't identify with it. They identify with their beingness. Beingness cannot hurt. You can do the same thing. But try to get rid of, I will die if I go free. That's what Michael went through, right, Michael? You'd lose everything. Everything's gone. It isn't. When you're free for the mere thought, you can have anything. I'm telling you, you could have 100 bodies and talk to 100 different people at the same time because there are no limitations. And if you read the autobiography of a yogi, several of the masters, after they died, came back. Yuktaswar was one of them. He spoke to 4 people, 10 o'clock the next morning, in a physical body at the same time. There are no limitations when we are free. I'm trying to propagandize you into letting go of fear of dying, of the fact that if I go free, I'm finished. It's just the opposite. You've got to watch that tricky mind of yours. It keeps you down in the dumps. You shouldn't have to work for a living. You're an infinite being. There are other worlds where people never curse in the work for a living. Nature supplies an overabundance of everything for the mere thought of it. In fact, as I said last time, there's nothing out there but the outpicturing of your mind. If you picture slavery, you're a slave. If you picture freedom, everything comes to you without effort. Stop wasting time on the body. It creates karma. And karma is a harmer. You can never rid yourself of karma because to every act there's an opposite and equal act. That's the first law in physics. But it applies to us. As you're trying to work out karma, you're creating karma for the future. It's impossible to work out karma. But what you can do is transcend it. See what you are, and there is no karma. More specifically, karma is programs. And basic programs are feelings, and the most basic program is a feeling of separation.